Hello, friends. Welcome back to the Life Reset Collective. My name is Josh. This is the channel where we empower those who are either going through a life reset or have gone through one or are preparing to go through one. Starting over in your life can be very difficult, and not very many people understand it. I've been through two major life resets, and so I know what it's like, and I know how few people can actually understand it. And that's why I made this channel for support, encouragement, motivation, practical guidance, and just to talk about it. Okay. And today we're answering a very important question. Why does starting over feel so humiliating sometimes? You would think that when people are starting their life over, if you've gone through something terrible or something bad happened to you, maybe it was a divorce, maybe you lost your home, maybe you lost your job, maybe your career got displaced by new technology, or maybe you got an illness diagnosis. But it can seem like, the rational question might be, man, if I've gone through a hard thing and I've started over and now I'm making progress in my new life, isn't that something people should look at and admire? Isn't that something people should think, wow, that's, so admirable, so incredible that they would, even after going through all those hard things, they would keep going and keep trying to improve their life. And yet often this is not how it plays out. A lot of times people actually look down on you because it feels like you're not as far along, because what happened is you were going along in life and then this terrible thing happened and then you got set back. So they may look at you with like judgment, or they may look at you like it is a little humiliating, or like maybe they're better than you, or maybe like they know better than you and they're trying to give you all this advice, right? Trying to tell you how to run your own life reset, like they know what it's like, even if they've never been through it. Why is it like this? I think the reason that it's like this is just because people generally do not know what it's like to be in someone else's shoes, but also they don't try to see it through other people's shoes. A lot of people actually are only out to make themselves feel as good as they can. And that's where that lack of empathy kind of comes in. Okay. So when you meet the average person on the street, they are probably not thinking, how can I understand this person better? How can I, be someone who uplifts them, who encourages them? To think about these things requires emotional work from us to a point, right? And it is a minimal amount to just think, how could I uplift this person instead of tearing them down? At the very least, I could just listen and not judge and not even share an opinion if I can't keep from tearing them down or judging them or shaming them. You would think that this would be easy to do. And actually it is easy to do. It's really easy to just listen and not say anything. It's very easy. But this is not the programming that most people are running around with. Most people are in a very base level of self-awareness where really they're only out to try to make themselves feel as good as they can. I mean, this is the classic why humans tear other people down thing. Why would anyone ever take time out of their day to tear someone else down, to talk bad about them, these things? And really, a lot of people don't wake up thinking, I'm going to be as mean as I can be today. I'm going to try to make someone feel terrible today. Like, that's not usually the motivation. I'm convinced that the motivation for this kind of behavior, tearing people down, judging people, shaming people for where they're at or whatever, a lot of this comes from our own insecurity and our own, we want to feel superior, so then we push other people down. If you ever notice really amazing people, like people who have been through a lot, people who are very successful, people who are truly admirable, they generally don't act like this. They generally don't act in a way that pushes other people down or humiliates other people or judges them or tries to make them feel inferior. Generally, really, truly admirable, great people are uplifting others. They are listening. They're trying to understand, right? They're trying to be encouraging, to be motivating. If they're going to say something, they're going to try to say something to maybe bring some hope, bring a little bit of motivation, encouragement, to uplift the person they're talking to. And they don't want to make them feel bad or tear them down or anything like that, right? And sometimes maybe we have to say a hard, truthful thing, but there's also a big difference between saying a hard, truthful thing in a kind way, but then just pushing someone down, tearing someone down, right? There's a big difference between these things. So sometimes starting over feels humiliating because other people actually make it feel humiliating. And it is very hard to stand up in front of that and to be self-aware enough. And this is us who are going through the life reset. It's hard to be self-aware enough to think, okay, not only am I going through this really hard time, I'm also talking to this person right now who is not putting in any effort to understand what I'm going through. They're probably just trying to make themselves feel better. They're trying to reiterate to themselves maybe how they're better than me so that they feel more secure or whatever. And it's important for me to understand this actually isn't about me. And it's probably best if I disengage from this person. That is a lot of heavy lifting to do when you're already going through really hard things and trying to rebuild your life. This is why in a lot of my videos, I stress that people who do not get it, people who are not on the same wavelength as you, it's best that we actually disengage from them and that we don't continue letting them kind of like suck out our energy. These people are a lot of times energy vampires, and we do not want to give them our energy. Okay. We do not want to spend our precious emotional resources on these people. So, if you encounter them, it's best to stay away from them. It's best to not continue on with them. It's best to not invite them into your space, not have conversations with them. But there's also an element of this that we do to ourselves. When I was going through my second life reset, it was especially difficult in this area because I was in my late 30s. I'm 39 right now, so I'm about to turn 40. And when I went through my divorce, there was an element of like, I was actually at a good place, savings in the bank, owned a house, owned a car was almost paid off, actually getting ahead in money, we had good insurance. Our lives were functional set up. And then the divorce came. All the problems came, things crashed down. And then all of a sudden you go from literally having it all figured out to sleeping on sleeping on a cot in your family's garage because really hard times have hit. Things have gotten really crazy and messy. And, you go from having this very functional kind of life where you had achieved a certain amount of stuff to basically crashing down to the bottom. I'm not going to go through and just disparage the other party from my divorce, but let's just put it this way. I certainly chose to walk away from that marriage, letting them keep the savings, letting them keep the car, basically, trying to make it as good for them as possible, trying to be a genuinely good human being, and then giving up a lot of the previous 2 years, 3 years worth of work that I had put in so that they could have an easier time in that transition. Okay. And let's just put it that way. So if someone were to actually sit down and understand all those things, maybe they would understand. But that's not what I tell the average person. The average person doesn't see that. The average person just sees a 39-year-old guy literally restarting his life basically from scratch. So I had to get really okay with knowing that people were not going to understand that, and that I needed to be okay with myself, and that I needed to work through the shame, the insecurity of that, the self-judgment, thinking you should have been further ahead than this. What have you been doing with your whole life? How could you end up in this place where you're just basically starting over again? But the thing is that even though it can feel humiliating to start over, let's go back to the beginning of the video. You would think that people would admire you for facing those hardships and starting over. You would think that they would think, wow, what an amazing thing to do. You literally walked, out of just a crazy, horrible situation where everything crashed down around you. And then you built your life back up. You're building your life back up. You're not giving up. And the truth is that is an amazing thing. You should feel proud about that. That is actually something that is remarkable. And you are a winner for doing that. You're not a loser. Just because you had to start over again does not make you a loser. The fact that you had to start over again and you keep on working and you're rebuilding makes you a winner, makes you incredible. That's the truth. But we don't often think of ourselves in that way. We just judge ourselves based on not being where we think we should be. And unfortunately, a lot of other people do too. There's so much hate out there. There's so much noise of people just saying things because they are insecure. And the internet is the worst place for it. People will leave comments and they'll just say crazy things. But it's so important that you understand you should not feel humiliated for starting again. You should be proud of yourself for putting in that hard work, for staying true to your future, and for actually putting in the work to rebuild what was destroyed before, making it even better. Please don't feel humiliated. You should feel like you are a winner for that. And I know that. And other people who have been through this know that. Not very many people in this world are going to know that. So whatever your circumstances are, friend, I would just encourage you today. Please don't feel humiliated. Please feel uplifted and encouraged. And with that being said, that's going to end this episode. Thank you for coming back for another episode of the Life Reset Collective, empowering those who are going through a life reset, rebuilding their life after disaster, and being supportive, motivating, encouraging, offering practical steps. That's what I'm here for. I've been through it, and I'm here for you. So let's keep rebuilding our lives together. I'll see you on the next one, friends.